Hello, my name's Adrian, and I'm here to talk to you about the Colorfly C3. Now, if you're watching this, you probably already know what the Colorfly C3 is, so I'll try to go through the basic reviewy stuff very quickly until I get to some of the details you may not know about. The Colorfly C3 is a stripped-down music player with extremely high audio quality. It's made by a Chinese company, and you can get one on eBay for about $120 with either 4 or 8 gigabytes. It supports FLACs, and if you're not going to use it to play FLACs, you should probably buy something else. Reviewy type things, the battery life is quite good. I used it on a flight from Nova Scotia to San Francisco and didn't come anywhere close to finishing out the battery. It is loud enough, and I was using it with some open-ear headphones actually as a set of external speakers, which wasn't, ideal by any means, but it worked and I could hear the music. The audio quality is not as good as my old Co-One X7, but is otherwise the best portable media player audio quality that I have heard thus far. So that's all the reviewy type things, and that's what you probably already know. However, having now seen how this device works, I thought it would be worth having some information out there about how the interface plays out, and basically just how stripped out an incredibly stripped out music player can be. So let's start. I'm just going to turn it on, which is done by holding down this button. And as you can see, it does shiny light things. These are all capacitive buttons, and let's actually start with those. You use them to control the menus. You can use either of these. Center is, of course, the Go button. And my first complaint with it is that, well, firstly, it's not really clear what this button does. But as you can see, I'm pressing this menu button, and it doesn't actually always seem to do something. You can see, yep, pressing the button. Basically, the buttons on the edges, well, the up volume button actually worked that time, but they aren't really very sensitive, and they will work. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but the edge buttons could be more sensitive. I'd also say it's completely impossible to operate this thing on your pocket. Firstly, there's that thing. The other problem is that the way that you lock the device is you press the button and then you have to do this, which is extremely difficult to do reliably. That's both the lock and unlock process. This is the kind of thing that requires a switch. I mean, I really appreciate the design of this device. You can see it looks very, very nice. It's very, very sturdy. But having a switch up there, like on an iPod Classic, would have really, really helped the ability to use this thing in your pocket. But even then, finding capacitive buttons with your fingers is just really, really difficult. This is also a problem in a car, of course. Next thing to talk about is the very, very few options that it has. It has various playback modes. You can do shuffle, repeat, and everything. There are a couple of repeat modes. It's not immediately obvious which one is for what, but the shuffle function is broken. The problem is, I'll get to how doing playlists and all that stuff works in a moment, but the shuffle function, out of my more than 1,000 song shuffle list, tends to play altered images a lot. It basically seems to be picking from a small subset of those songs, and there's some things I get occasionally, and some things I get a lot. Like, a lot. Mostly things from the beginning of the list. I do get stuff from later on, so I don't want to speculate about what the problem is, but as far as being a shuffle function, it's not very good. So if you're going to use a large shuffle list, that's something to be aware of. Let's talk about how folder structures work. This doesn't support ID3 tags, and it does not support playlists. Now, immediately your brain might go to thinking about crazy ways that you can sort of make it work, which is what mine did. In fact, it's a good thing because it means there's no database updating. I've had players where you put in a memory card and then it has to read through the memory card and read all of the ID3 tags to create this whole structure, and that can take minutes. There was one I had that with a big card took more than 10 minutes, which is infuriating. With this thing, I can take out, back out to the main menu so it doesn't freak out. I can just pop out this memory card. This is a 32 gig. It also supports 64 gig, which is awesome, and it means it will probably also support 128s when those come out, which means you can actually have your entire music library on here. But anyway, so I popped it out and see now it's only showing, you can't really see it on there, but it's only showing the internal memory. And all I do is just pop this back in. And voila, both options are visible again. It calls it TF card. That means access the external memory card. And there's no database update whatsoever. I just press the thing, and boom, folder structure. Whatever your folder structure is in Windows, that's what's going to show up here. So right now, this card has Shuffle and Bombcast on it. That's a podcast. My other card has my actual library on it. So because it doesn't support playlists, what I've had to do is create a folder called Shuffle, and I update that through foobar. Do that however you like. And so that's on this one memory card. The other memory card is for when I just want to listen to a specific thing from my library. So that's what the 64 gig card's for. And that works really, really well. Like, fiddling with these things while you're in the car is kind of a pain in the ass, but fiddling with anything while you're in the car is a pain in the ass. So that's a really, really nice system. The problem with this is, you would think that it would sort the files alphabetically. Oh no, it doesn't sort the files alphabetically. What it does is it sorts them by when they are put on the card, which means that you have to use a program, or just do it by hand, that copies over the files in exactly the order that you want. So let's say you have, so the way to logically do the folder structure is that you have artist, album, then the songs in the album. You can't just use a program like foobar to automatically set the file tag to, track 1, track 2, track 3. I tried this. No, what you actually have to do is do that, or use another program that will copy all of the files over in alphabetical order. Somehow or another, you have to get the files to copy over in order by the track on the album they're on. That's pretty stripped out. It kind of sucks. It means that no matter how clever you are with it, you really need to play by its rules in how you're going to set things up. So it's disappointing, because if it sorted these files alphabetically, what that would mean is that you could use really any program to just copy the folder structure however you wanted it. The problem is now you actually have to use something like copy in order, which Colorfly actually recommends this copy in order program to get the files in track order. Of course you'd want them in track order. So yeah, those are the major issues. Oh yeah, it doesn't come with a mini USB cable. It uses mini USB. That's what that all looks like. It's mini USB. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Everybody's got a million of them. It's just weird. The only things that come with are the instructions, which are in Chinese, and with a cleaning cloth, which will come in handy. Though really, you can just sort of do this, and I could say it looks really, really nice. So I think that's more or less it. You look at this screen, it looks really small, but actually, having 2 lines of text is fine, and the interface, when you're actually looking at it for all the other stuff, is nice. It tells you the file name, because that's all it knows is the file name. It gives you a rough idea of the volume and the battery indicator. There's one thing where the top left pixel on the screen will light up for reasons I've yet to determine, but that doesn't really affect anything. It's just 1 pixel. So overall, Oh, there's one more thing to mention. It doesn't power off automatically. So if you pause it, the battery will last a really, really long time because it's not really doing very much. But if you're going to turn it off for a long time, you actually should turn it off. And then it won't save your place. This thing's really not very good for podcasts, I'll be honest. Especially because it's difficult to rename podcasts. And if a podcast has a crazy name, like some long number, very hard to find them when you want. But despite all these things, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. It's cheap for good audio quality. You don't have to deal with any bullshit about other people's ridiculous software, which is, if you want to use your audio program, this should allow you to do that. just realize that you're going to have to do some serious thinking and organizing before it's playing along with you. Rock and roll.